So this lesson is about splitting and joining strings and making funny accents. We've got a translator that takes the sentence, let's go to village takeaway, and automatically turns this into UCD Dublin 4 rugby Ross Carroll Kelly kind of like, so basically, right, go to the village takeaway, guys, this sort of thing. It inserts words in, or maybe pirates, like, arr, avast, pirates gawks loudly, the old village takeaway. I love the pirates always count to 10 before they lose their temper. That's the most adorable quality in every pirate. If you're ever, not that you should ever be downloading something on Pirate Bay because it's against the law, but if you know someone who did or is doing, if it's there's not enough people seeding and you can't down an episode of Westworld, always count to 10 before you lose your temper because that's what a respectable pirate would do before you make everyone walk the plank. Okay, and I'm also trying to make an effort today not to say my filler words because the last assignment here is to make a teacher impersonator, something that's an impression of a teacher, and I'm not trying to give you ideas. And by saying okay, basically okay, right, deadly. Right. No, I'm not saying right. I'm just going to move on. There'll be a lot of awkward pauses. I may sound a bit robotic, but it's because I'm trying not to. I'm saying it in my head. Dublinese. Let's back and go, lads, to the Blin village takeaway. I've never heard. No, Dustin's never said the effect. Well, yeah, I think he has on the radio, but not in the den. You can also do that, or you can make one that does an impression of your mommy or your cousin or your brother or sister. I don't mind, or some famous person. To make a program that does this, we need to take this string, this big sentence, and we're going to split it up into a list. The way we do that is we call it, that should be stringy word. I've got stingy word, like a jellyfish or a nettle. Well, I'm going to leave it a stingy word. It's a feature, not a bug. We're going to take our string called stingy word, and we're going to use dot split to split it up into a list, a Python list with square brackets, and we're going to split it every time we see a dash. You can set this to whatever you want. You can set it to dot, 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 or spaces. We're going to start off by doing a dash. So when we have stringy word like this, it splits it up like so. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Just like that. When we use dot, dot, dot in our dot split, engines, dot, 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 on fire, dot, 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 going down, going dot, dot, down, it comes out, engines, note, on fire is one list item. It didn't care at all about the space because I asked it to get its big Python machete and cut it every time it sees dot, dot, dot. And that's where it's going to slice that up. And that's where you get engines on fire. Of course, in normal English language and various other languages in the world, we use spaces to separate our words, unless you're, I don't know what Chinese and Japanese, I'm presumably they have spaces in somewhere. I don't know. Do you hear Shinzo Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan, has now Abe Shinzo? He just decreed that overnight everybody's name is reversed because in Japanese you say like Murray Danny, just like that you say it backwards, and it's more traditional. So they've just decided, we're gonna be proper Japanese, and they've just overnight reversed everyone's name. So you now say it backwards. There you go. In a normal situation, as we do this, we use the space, and you can see down here, I shall become a list becomes I, shall become a list. It's now a list. It is a list. It did. It realized its dreams. It became a list with 5 elements. Element 0, element 1, element 2, element 3, element 4. Remember, you counted 0. All we did there is we just used the name of the string dot split, and we put a space in there. So that's kind of okay. And it's easy enough to understand. It's not super useful though. The for loop is super useful. Super is one of the words I say, so I'm not going to... Well, that's not really a filler word. That's just like something I picked up in living in San Francisco and mocking everybody for saying, that kid is super nice. And then you start slagging them. And here I am 10 years later. Still, it's then become ingrained. So a for loop can be used with this to mess with those words, not just separate them. We can add something to each word, delete some part of it, search for a particular word, or even search for a particular letter. Remember, a for loop is like this thing here on the right. It's just a conveyor belt that's going by, and it does the same thing to each item. Okay, a for loop looks like this. It says for item a list goes through this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is what it's doing to each thing as it goes by, whatever comes in the for loop. So we're going to use this as a search. We couldn't search strings very well without them being a list, but as a list, it's really easy to do. There are some ways to search strings like string.find, but it's not as good as this, because not only can you say if you find a word, but now you can do cool stuff to them. So the way this works is it says for item in totally listified, this is the totally listified list, item starts off as I. If I is become, print this. Well, unless you're crazy, I is not become. They're different things. So it goes on to the next item like a conveyor belt. Item is now shall. If shall equals become, print this. Yeah, shall is not that. Shall and become are different words entirely. Item turns on to the next thing in the list, which is become. Become equals become. That is true. So it then goes down this path here and says, hey, found a word become. And that's, I just explained it down there. What's good to know as well is that it keeps going. It goes on to A and list. Now, you could put a break in there after that to stop it going on to anything else. Oh, well, I think I've messed up this box properly. Oh, well, that's a disaster, because that's going to like ruin it. It's going to ruin everything from here down. Everything's going to be out of alignment very slightly. Oh, I think I fixed it. Cool. It's all good. Everyone sit back down your chairs. Right. You can search for words starting with an S. There you go. I know you've always wanted to search a list for every word starting with S. Maybe you're presenting this episode of Sesame Street and the letter of today is S. The way you do that is you say, not just if the item is S, but if item square bracket 0, which means 0 is S, 1 is H, 2 is A, 3 is L, and 4 is L. Like that. You count 0, 1, that's how you count the letters. So we mean the 0th letter in that string. Is it S? Well, for I, you know it's not. So when item starts off as I, nothing's going to happen as they say in Mullingar. No, guard, didn't do nothing. And when it goes down to the next one, shall, oh yeah, that's got an S in it. So it prints, and actually it prints the word item. That wasn't necessary, but I think it's cool that it can then say that's what item I'm on, because I'm on shall, I'm looking at that. It'll actually say, I found an S, it's the word shall. It'll then look for this and here, but it won't find anything because the 0th character there is B, A, and L. We can do one that's ending in a T. Well, how do we do that? You just go -1. That's -1 in square brackets means the last character in the string, the last letter. I say character, right, because it could be a number as well as a letter. Like, stop saying like. Now my head scrambles because I'm trying not to say filler words. If item, last item is T, print I found something ending with T, and of course, It'll go all the way through depressed and upset until it strikes gold at the end and hits list, where item is list. And then it gets onto this finally and prints that. Maybe you want something ending with LL. There's another example. So -2, by the way, minus means you're going from the back of the word, working backwards. So this was -1 and then -2 is that one. But let's say I want the last two letters. What I'm saying there is that letter is -2. The colon means and all the way to the end. Okay. If the colon was that side, it would be everything up to the 2 on the other side. So 2 on the stuff after. There's 2. Well, -2, I should say. -2. And the stuff after, which is L. So they're the last two. I mean, you could also just think, look, -2 letters, that's what you're going to get. But that's, I'm explaining what the colon is, because -2 for become would be M, but -2 colon would be, -2 colon would be ME. Right, so searches. I mean, I put them in there because if you got a computer exam, maybe they might ask you a question about that. Or, yeah, they're not really as interesting as messing with words. That's what we're here. We're here to knock over wheelie bins and take society apart, what's left of it, after the coronavirus. So we are going to modify things. So this one here, it's a program that turns a sentence into a snaky sentence. It makes everything sound like a snake. A snake would say it. It takes each item starts with an I, then it gets the item, it adds on to the item S. Now, that I suppose is a concatenate. I did it first try. Concatenate is a fancy word for attaching two strings together. Okay, it's the plus thing. We don't say add because I mean adding is a maths thing. You can say add. You'll get away with it. Just don't say an exam. What happens then, of course, is it adds SS and then it goes on to the next item. Shall SS become as lists. And if you've ever talked to a snake, you'll be like, that is exactly what a snake sounds like. So the problem with this is it's a colon. A column. I want it to be a sentence. I want it to be a regular sentence, not a weird list like a shopping list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get around that by making a blankety blanky list here called new listy. What I do is, as I go through the totally listified list, as I did up here, this time I apply some glue and stick in the end, each of the things I'm adding S to into a list. Okay, so what I do is I take I, there it is, there's I, item is I, because this counts through the list items. I attach S onto it. So now it's ISS, like International Space Station. And I apply some glue and stick it to the end, all of this into the empty list. The empty list is no longer empty. Its sad days are over. It now has I in that list. There's my watch telling me it's 3 o'clock. Do you know, my watch beeps every day at 3 o'clock and has for the last, I swear, 2 years. I don't know if you saw in class it went off. And I know why I don't ever turn the light. I feel like it reminds me that I'm alive and time is going by. Just like at 3 o'clock, it's just, just time. So the next one, shall pen in the list into there. And when you're all done, it prints out the list, everything that's in the list, and you can see it's forming what seems to be sort of like a proto-sentence. It's becoming the beginning of a sentence, right? We do need to join it together, but we'll get to that in a moment. Just before that, this is a really juicy bit of code. This is real interesting. I wish I discovered this sooner. This one trick moms hate and dentists love. Oh wait, I don't know. It's a good piece of code anyway. You know when you have a Python program that you want it to do something random. So let's say you go through the door and it plays a random sound, right? Normally the way you do that is you'd say, pick a number between 1 and 10. If the number is 1, do this. If the number is 2, do that. If the number is 3, do that. That requires an if statement, a random number generator. It's a pile of code. You know, there is a better way of doing it, and I suppose it's this. This random choice function, it's built into Python. Comes free in every bag of Python. And what it does is it will print a random, well, return, come out of it, shall emerge either this or this or this, and it's completely random every time. So if you print random choice, right, in this case, you'll have a 33.3333 recurring chance of one of these popping out. So your program will be different every time. Let's see what that looks like. And it puts a bit of flavor into my program. So now instead of just going SS, I'm going to randomly add either like or totally. I don't know which it's going to add. It's random. And the output should look like something like, I totally shall like become totally a like list like. So we're pretty much there. It's all working. We just need to join it back up into a new sentence, because we split it at the beginning of the program. And shock horror, it is the function join, if you didn't predict that. Well, and like split. I'm just going to put this on new lines so it's easier to read. Like in the split function, where we told it the point at which it wants to take out the machete and cut open the sentence. We said, do you want to do that the dot dot dots? Do you want to do that the spaces? Do you want to do the dash? This is the same, but you just got to tell it how you would like your words joined together. So it is happy to join this list for you. But it's kind of like, okay, see these commas? What do you want me to put instead of the commas as I join this up? Do you want me to put spaces there? Do you want me to put dot dot dots? And this is where you tell it what you want there. I have elected to go with the dot dot dots to do a Harry Potter J.K. Rowling dot dot dot. She is, yeah, I'll stop giving out of her. It's because I think that it's because I made a program once that counts the most amount of words in a book, and it worked perfectly for the complete works of Shakespeare, but it broke at Harry Potter because J.K. Rowling not only has dot dot dot, but she's got 4 dots, 5 dots, 6 dots, 7 dots, 8 dots. So my program was just a list of all of the grammatical errors that J.K. Rowling makes, and like just come on, children read this. So yeah, that's what it's done. Look, it's turned back into a sentence with dot dot dots in it, and there you go. So my finished code, I've put a few more words. Instead of it just being 50-50, I've put a few more words. So now it says, and maybe like shall, like become, dude. Maybe like list, like, yeah, dude. There you go. And that used to say, I shall become a list. And look how far it's come. So there you go. Your assignments. Start by copy pasting this code and modify it. Modify it such that you do a D4 accents, carry accents, the LEG one that says from the East Danes massive. I'm not sure. Is LEG from East Danes or West Danes massive? I don't know. Do you know the Staines changed their name to Staines upon Thames? I was there a few years ago, and they literally had to change the name of the town because everyone's just like, "Oh, you're from LEG's town." So it's actually quite a nice town. So they made it sound more posh. This one here, same, right? But instead of just copy pasting, because look, that's just changing the green text. Now I want you to modify it such that it puts in an input statement at the start. So instead of you hard coding a word like I shall become a list or I'll go down to the village takeaway, very simply you just put in an input and let the person enter what they want to say. Finally, I'm going to maybe put this actually on a new page. I want you to make a program, and you really should get onto this because this is just messing around, getting familiar with it. But this is the real task. This is the real deal. I want you to make a program that does an impression of a teacher. So Mr. Grimes might say, basically, guys, I have said all of the various things you've heard me say today, even though I wasn't trying. Mr. Byrne might say, kind of, look, in his Wexford. I don't know how you can do the head shake, the Wexford accents. But I'm sure you can think of something. So you can do a program that does an impression of your mammy, I don't mind. I also want you, because it's the hard task, to do something we've kind of done before a little bit. And that is also to put in a layer of replacement. So while I do inject filler words into my speech, and that is part of the Mr. Murray experience, I also swap out words. I don't say shit, I always say sh1t. So you can also add a little bit into your code to swap out words that they say as well. Does that make sense? So if you know a person who never says feck, you just put in this. And basically, it's actually really easy to do. All you do is the name of the string, so whatever they've typed, right? I'll call that string what they said to be obvious. Then all you do is whatever they said, you go dot replace old new. Okay, the thing you want out, the thing you want to go in instead. Couldn't be easier. And you can also go what they said dot upper will return it in caps. So I don't know, maybe if it's one of those real shouty accents, like pirate could be all caps. You could do that too. All right. And that is it. So yeah, that's the grading criteria there. Don't forget you get 10 points for doing something that's not boring. All right. Okay. So best luck.